Imagine someone so powerful, so cunning, they command this huge fleet, bigger than some navies, right? They terrify empires,
Yeah.
and then they just walk away rich.
Mm-hmm.
You'd probably picture a king, maybe a general, some legendary pirate captain. But today we're doing a deep dive into someone who just smashed all those expectations.
Yeah, we're talking about Qing Shi, arguably the most successful pirate
Yeah.
ever.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack her incredible story, Zhang Yisao, as she's also known. We'll look at her, well, pretty humble beginnings, but how she rose to command this massive fleet, like tens of thousands of pirates.
And the really fascinating, kind of controversial part, how her reign actually ended. Because the stories don't quite line up.
Right. And we've got some great sources. You brought in detailed accounts of the Battle of the Tiger's Mouth.
Also called Tung Chung Bay, yeah.
Biographical stuff, even how she shows up in pop culture. So the plan is to pull out the key bits, the surprising facts, the conflicting stories.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, get ready for some aha moments. Because her story really makes you rethink things.
Absolutely. It's more than just adventure, isn't it? It's about power, strategy, resilience. It's kind of unbelievable when you look at the sheer scale of what she did.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Her origins are, well, unlikely for a future pirate queen. Qing Shi, born Xiang around 1775, Guangdong province.
Right, possibly Tonka, the boat people. And her early life working on a floating brothel in Canton. That's often where the story starts.
Yeah, but even there, it seems she wasn't just anyone.
No, exactly. Reports say she was known for more than just looks. She had wit, poise. There are even rumors, whispers, that she used secrets she learned from powerful clients to gain influence, even then.
So she was already learning how to navigate power structures, maybe.
Could be. Sort of a training ground for what came later. Very shrewd.
And that shrewdness, maybe her reputation too, leads to this pivotal moment, her marriage in 1801.
Mm-hmm. To Zun Yi,
Yeah.
a big name, commander of the Red Flag Fleet.
But this wasn't a typical arrangement, was it? The rumor is pretty specific.
Yeah, the story goes she laid down terms, demanded equal control of the fleet, half the earnings, as a condition.
Wow. So not a consort, but a partner. A business partner, almost, from day one.
Pretty much. And Zhang Yi, he was already a big deal himself. He'd managed to unite these rival pirate groups into the Red Flag Fleet.
Which was already huge, right, even before she took over later.
Oh, yeah. By 1805, under him, we're talking maybe 400 ships, 40 to 60,000 pirates, a serious force. But her demanding that equal footing, that says a lot about her ambition, even then.
Okay, so they're this power couple building this pirate confederation. Then comes the moment everything changes. Zheng Yi dies in 1807.
Right. And how he died is unclear. Fell overboard in a storm, tsunami, maybe even murdered in Vietnam. The accounts vary.
Which must have left her in a really tricky spot.
They're very precarious, but also an opportunity. And she didn't hesitate.
What was her move?
Well, she solidified her power base, and it was pretty bold. She formed a relationship and then later married Zheng Yi's adopted son.
His second in command, right?
That's-
Zheng Baozi.
Exactly, Cheng Po-tsai. Though the Portuguese knew him by other names, too. Juana Ponce, Camposai. We should probably stick to Cheng Po-tsai.
And this adoption thing, it wasn't weird back then.
Adult adoption for business, for alliances, wasn't that unusual in China, no. Some even whisper their relationship might have started before Zhang Yi died, but who knows? It adds another layer, doesn't it?
Definitely. So she secures her leadership through this alliance, this marriage,
Oh.
and then under her command, the fleet. It doesn't just stay big.
It explodes. The estimates are just staggering. Maybe 1,800 ships, up to 80,000 pirates.
80,000, let's put that in perspective.
Yeah.
Blackbeard, maybe the most famous Western pirate.
Had what? 4 ships, 300 men, something like that?
Yeah, so Qing Shi is operating on a scale that's almost unimaginable. It's like a floating state.
It really was. She effectively took on the Qing Dynasty's navy, the Mandarin Navy, and won repeatedly, weakened them. She even boosted her numbers by offering leniency to captured sailors who joined her. Smart tactics.
And this wasn't just raiding, it was
Yep.
like statecraft on the high seas.
Yeah, absolutely. So she's got the power, she's got the numbers. What kind of leader was she? Not just a figurehead, clearly.
No, the sources paint her as incredibly shrewd, a businesswoman, but also ruthless. Not just to enemies, but sometimes her own people, too.
Right. She had the final say on raids. All the loot came to her first.
And she backed this up with a structure, right? Not just chaos.
Definitely not chaos. She had this innovative governance system, highly disciplined. Each ship had a commander, often elected, reporting to her. But she controlled the overall strategy, the alliances, how the spoils were divided, Ultimate authority.
And the key to that discipline was her code of conduct, which sounds intense.
Intense is putting it mildly. Sources say it was unheard of in Chinese piracy for how strict it was.
Like, what? Give us some examples.
Okay, get this. Disobey an order or give an order without her authority. Decapitation. Straight up.
Wow.
Steal from the communal plunder before it's officially shared out. Decapitation.
Okay, sensing a pattern here.
Yeah. Loot a village that had already paid protection money.
Yeah.
Decapitation. Go ashore without permission.
Have a guess.
Decapitation. The discipline was absolute, maintained by fear, clearly.
What if you just wanted out, like, I'm done with pirating?
Apparently, trying to desert got your ears chopped off, so, not much room for changing your mind.
Brutal. But there were other rules, too, weren't there?
Oh.
Particularly about women captives, which seems unexpected.
Very unexpected, especially for pirates of that era. Rape a female captive, that was a death sentence.
Seriously.
Seriously. And, consensual sex with a captive while on duty, both executed, the woman apparently thrown overboard with weights.
That's specific and harsh. What about pirates who sort of acquired a captive?
If a pirate purchased or was awarded a woman, and the language itself is obviously problematic, he was considered married to her, and he had to be faithful.
Faithful, a pirate.
Yeah, if he wasn't beheaded.
So despite her own background in a brothel, she imposes this incredibly strict, almost puritanical in some ways, code on her thousands of pirates. It's quite a contradiction.
It is, but here's where history gets tricky. Who actually wrote this code?
So it might not have been her.
Well, lots of popular accounts just say Qing Shi's code. Makes for a better story, maybe. But some of the earlier sources, like Yon Yonglin's Zhenghai Fenji, which apparently uses first-hand accounts,
Yes.
they clearly attribute the three codes, as they call them, to Zhang Bao, her husband Yang Yi's adopted son.
Zhang Bao. So not her. Or maybe it was collaborative.
It's hard to say for sure, but the direct attribution in those early sources points more towards him. The idea that it was her code might have come much later.
How did that happen?
It seems a likely culprit is a 1932 book, Philip Goss's The History of Piracy. Apparently, he really sensationalized Qing Shi, maybe relied on a dodgy translation. And the original source material he was supposedly using actually mentions Zhang Bao way more often than her regarding the fleet's rules and management.
So the narrative gets twisted over time. The more dramatic version sticks.
Exactly. It's a classic example of how history can be shaped, you know? Why you always have to dig a bit deeper, look at who wrote what and when. It's not just about facts, it's about perspective and sometimes bias.
Okay, so massive fleet, strict rules, maybe written by her, maybe by Zhang Bao. Either way, they're incredibly powerful. And that kind of power, it attracts attention.
Big time. The Qing dynasty was obviously furious. They kept losing ships, losing control of coastal areas, especially around the Pearl River. Her fleet was raiding far and wide.
Privileged towns paying protection money.
Right. But it wasn't just the Chinese government feeling the heat. Other major players were getting concerned too. The British East India Company, the Portuguese in Macau. Her activities were disrupting trade.
Which leads us to this major clash, right? The Battle of the Tiger's Mouth.
That's the one. Boca do Tigre to the Portuguese. This happens in the Human Strait, a really key waterway. The pressure on Macau was intense, so their Senate ordered Captain José Pinto Alcoforado y Sousa to take a fleet and deal with the pirates.
When was this?
Things started heating up around September 1809. The first Portuguese force was pretty small, 3 ships, maybe 250 men, but they had good cannons, these modern rifled ones firing explosive shells. They took on about 200 pirate ships initially.
And then the Chinese government got involved.
Yeah, they proposed a joint operation. So the Portuguese force grew 6 ships, more guns, more men, joining up with about 60 Chinese government ships. This main combined force sets out around November 1809.
Okay, so a major confrontation brewing. But the outcome, this is where the stories really clash, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's fascinating. If you look at, say, the Wikipedia page for the Battle of the Tiger's Mouth, or discussions on places like Reddit drawing from those sources.
What do they say?
They paint it as a clear Portuguese victory. A long battle, months long, culminating in this big fight in January 1810. Chung Ko-tsai throws everything he has at them, over 300 ships, thousands of men.
Against a small Portuguese flotilla.
Relatively small, yeah. But the Portuguese gunnery was supposedly devastating. Those explosive shells against densely packed junks, very effective. They apparently sank a key command junk, this big floating pagoda.
Causing panic.
Exactly. The pirate fleet scattered, retreated into a shallow river where the Portuguese ships couldn't follow because they were too big. So the Portuguese just blockaded the river mouth, trapped them.
Cornered. And according to this version, that forced Chung Po-tsai to surrender.
That's version A. Clear defeat for the pirates, victory for the Portuguese-Chinese alliance.
Okay, but then there's version B.
Right. Look at other sources like the Wikipedia page for Zheng Yisao herself or sites like Design Dash. They tell a completely different story. They call it the blockade of Tongcheng Bay, but it's the same event.
And in their version,
Qingxi and her fleet won. They successfully repelled the attackers. They didn't just escape, they broke through the blockade.
escaped into the South China Sea.
Yeah, and get this, they claim she lost 0 ships, only 40 men. While the provincial fleet lost ships and dozens of men, this version highlights it as proof of her brilliant tactical mind.
Wow. So one side says total defeat and blockade leading to surrender. The other says decisive victory and escape.
Yeah.
How can the same battle have two such opposite results reported?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? What does that tell you, listening to this? It throws the whole idea of objective historical truth into sharp relief. Is it national pride? Is it the victors writing history? Is it different perspectives from inside versus outside the conflict? It's a perfect example of why history is so complex.
It really is. So regardless of whether it was a crushing defeat or a tactical escape,
Yeah.
something led to peace talks.
Yes. Even the Portuguese victory narrative leads into the surrender process. According to that version, after about 2 weeks of being blockaded, Chung Po-tsai sends a message asking for someone to discuss surrender.
And Captain Alcoforado, he goes himself.
Yeah, apparently gets in a small boat, goes right onto Chung Po-tsai's flagship. A very gutsy move that supposedly impressed Chung Po-tsai quite a bit.
But the actual negotiations were complicated.
Extremely. The chief magistrate of Macau, a guy named Miguel José de Arriaga Brim de Silveira, acted as a key go-between. But the Chinese viceroy, Bai Ling, he wasn't keen on the pirates' initial demands.
What do they want?
Qing Shi and Zhang Bao wanted to keep a lot of their followers, keep a number of ships. Bai Ling refused at first. Things got tense. There was even a moment where some British ships nearby caused alarm. Zhang Bao thought it might be a trap. The whole deal nearly fell apart.
But Jing Shi stepped in personally.
That seems to be the turning point. On April 17, 1810, she takes a delegation, interestingly, 17 women and children directly to the viceroy's office, the Yamen in Guangzhou. She negotiates face-to-face with Bai Ling.
And he caves.
He yields. Her directness, her audacity, perhaps, it worked.
So they formally surrender a few days later, April 20th, 1810. But the terms weren't exactly harsh, were they?
Not at all. This is where it looks less like a defeated enemy surrendering and more like a strategic negotiation. A retirement package, almost.
What do they get?
A full pardon, for starters, for her and all her followers.
Okay, that's big.
They got to keep most of their loot, their immense wealth.
Keep the money after all that?
Yep. And Zhang Bao, he doesn't just get pardon, he gets a job.
Yeah.
He's made an admiral in the Qing Navy,
An admiral, the pirate leader.
tasked with hunting down other pirates, and he was allowed to keep his own private fleet of 20 or 30 ships.
Unbelievable. What about Qing Shi?
She got official permission to marry Zhang Bao, and she received land in Canton.
And the Portuguese, who supposedly won the battle.
They claimed nothing. No reward, no territory, which apparently really impressed the Chinese officials.
So if you put all that together, it doesn't sound like someone who was militarily crushed. It sounds like someone negotiating from a position of strength, or at least finding a very advantageous way out.
Exactly. Maybe the pressure was mounting the naval blockade, the embargoes cutting off supplies, maybe there was internal strife, like the Black Flag fleet defecting earlier. So perhaps she saw the writing on the wall and decided to pivot, securing the best possible deal while she still could. It frames her surrender as a masterstroke of pragmatism.
Integrating her power structure into the state rather than having it destroyed.
Precisely. And then she retires.
To a remarkably quiet life, considering.
Relatively speaking, she moves to Macau, and what does the former pirate queen do? She opens a gambling house.
You can't make this stuff up. A successful one, too.
Apparently very successful, run it for years. Some reports even say her descendants still live in Macau today.
So she goes from pirate admiral commanding 80,000 to casino owner. That's quite the third act.
It really is. She died peacefully in 1844, aged 69. A long life, especially given her former profession.
And her legacy today feels like she's bigger than ever in some ways.
Definitely. She's consistently cited as the most successful pirate in history, male or female. Her story just captures the imagination.
She pops up in surprising places. Mistress Ching in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
As her.
Inspired by her, yeah. And she's in literature, Borges wrote about her, Lors Duncum. Video games, too. Civilization the Six, Assassin's Creed.
I saw there's even a VR game with Lucy Liu voicing her.
Right. Her story resonates. Especially, I think, because she was a woman achieving this level of power and command in such a fiercely male-dominated world and era. She completely defied the norms.
So wrapping this all up, Qing Shi's story is just this incredible mix of power, strategy, brutality, and conflicting accounts.
Yep.
Was she undefeated? Was she beaten? Or did she just play the game better than anyone else and negotiate her way out?
The sources give us different answers, don't they? It really hammers home that history isn't always neat facts. It's about interpretation, perspective, who's telling the story.
But regardless of exactly how her pirate career ended, the fact remains. She commanded the biggest pirate fleet ever, held empires at bay, and then managed to retire wealthy and live to old age.
Which leaves us with a final thought, maybe. What can we actually learn from her? From this woman who carved out this astonishing destiny against impossible odds in the South China Sea, what does her story tell us about leadership, about knowing when to fight and when to negotiate, about, well, redefining what success even looks like?
A lot to think about there, an incredible story.